Hello, I hope we're all doing well. Today's lesson is on matter and classifying it. There are two major classifications of matter. There are pure substances, stuff, and what I don't have written here is mixtures, when you take different stuff and put it together. Under pure substances, we have two subclassifications: elements, compounds. It is a pure substance when you only have that one particular substance in hand. For instance, elements. As far as we know, there are over 100 known elements. Some of them are man-made. They are towards the bottom of the periodic table. We'll talk about them later in the year. But some common elements that you might be familiar with. We have aluminum metal. I have here a little block of aluminum metal. I have here little pellets of aluminum metal. There it is, number 13 on the periodic table. But these are pure samples of aluminum, meaning there is nothing else but aluminum atoms contained in this block. There are no other atoms. There are no other elements. There are no other things in this block. It is pure. The only substance in here is aluminum. Same thing with the pellets. There are many examples, obviously, of different elements. There's sulfur. It looks like a yellow rock. It's very brittle. We'll explore sulfur later also. I have some labs and demos with sulfur. Sulfur stinks, and some of you may have a slight, sulfur might cause slight irritation or allergy, so we have to be careful with that. Another pure element that you might be familiar with is copper. Copper wiring, probably in your house, powering your devices right now. There might be copper pipes. Now I polished up the copper pipe because you can see as it ages it gets a little corroded and rusty and such. So, so if I look at the shiny part or I look at the wire, again, the only thing in here are copper atoms, a pure substance. No other atoms, no other materials. When we take elements and through some what we call chemical reactions, if we get those elements to link together, we call that to chemically bond, we can make compounds. One of the most common compounds that you probably are aware of, I mentioned it earlier in the course, is table salt. Table salt, white crystally powder, tastes delicious, very high melting point. Table salt is known as sodium chloride, NaCl. The sodium and the chlorine, and we'll explain how this happens in a couple months, but they link together and they cannot be separated very easily. It takes some effort to do that. That chemical bond has been formed. And so now, this is a compound. Those elements have been bound together. It's a pure substance because if I go and pour salt on my fries, I hope that it's nothing but salt and no other stuff. I don't want to eat stuff that I don't know. There are a bunch of other compounds out there. Obviously, there are, millions and millions. We have something that looks familiar to salt in the home, of course, is table sugar, sucrose. It looks like a white powder also. And I don't know if you've ever made the mistake of accidentally switching the salt and the sugar while you're baking. That would not be a good thing, or while you're cooking. But sucrose, I lost my pen, there we go. That's a lot of atoms bound together. C12H22O11. And of course, when we're baking or cooking or eating, we want a pure sample of sucrose. We want pure sugar. We don't want impurities to mess up what we're eating. We showed you copper earlier, and we talked about NaCl. Well, here's copper chloride. Again, it's a solid crystal structure. That's its chemical formula, CuCl2. I also have, these are marble chips. And this might be outside in your garden or driveway as a part of decoration, covering a walkway or whatnot. Marble chip, it's a rock, basically. But in this particular form, CaCO3, calcium carbonate. There are an infinite, not quite infinite, but so many combinations of elements that make so many different compounds. And think about it like this. The alphabet has 26 letters. How many words are there? Okay. There are 100 or so elements. Think about all the combinations of those that could make compounds. So, next video, we'll talk about taking these materials and mixing them together.